Hello, everyone. How y'all doing? It's Sensei of Reality, and I wanted to speak to y'all real quick about the future of wrestling games. I'm seeing the improvements that 2K26 has been like they put into that game as far as what you can just tell how they trying to make the game better with the weapons physics, rag dolls, things of that sort. Things you could do with different weapons and physics and I quit matches and voiceovers being added to I quit matches and all that's great. Don't get me wrong, all that's great, and I'm looking forward to it because it's letting us know that we leading into something, a change, a big change, not of this on current generation consoles. So that really, makes me excited because I feel like we're headed right down the right path. But as we speak on that, I wanted to also speak on the fact that for the next 2K with 2K27, hopefully, if they can make a change to 2K26, which I doubt they could do, as far as backstage areas, because I mean, it's going to take a lot of time. So I don't think we're going to see any new backstage areas for 2K26. But for 2K27 on to different upcoming 2K games, I just would like to see them scrap all the old backstage areas and, give us new location and backstage areas. I wanted to see, how it would look on current generation consoles if we just had like a, excuse me, a backstage area to where it looks as if we're like inside of a real WWE arena. I would like for the 2K team to just go backstage to one of the wrestling events, to one of the cities and just, experiment just to see as far as like a WWE Shop Zone store, see if we can put that in the backstage area, a lobby area that's right near the entrance of the arena, the way you can go out of those doors if you want to, and it'll take you like outside to like where you fighting, right like where the streets is at, where the cars going down the streets and in front of the arena, things of that sort. And if you can go back in, you'll be right back into the lobby area and you'll see the concession stands right there and NPCs walking around and or just waiting to order some food at least, because we on current gen now, so it's time to make it that much more realistic, right? So I wouldn't mind seeing a bathroom right there. You can go inside the bathroom and then bring back the locker rooms. That's really important. While you downstairs, you can go down the hall and make a left, and then you'll see the men's locker room. You can fight inside the locker room. It'll be like a big expansion, of a new WWE locker room for the men's. And then if you want to go in the women's, you can fight in the women's locker room. You may see like a couple of, divas or whatever in towels or something telling you to get out. that'll be funny. That'll be dope. Get kicked out by the women for going in the locker room, fighting in the locker room, whatever. And then have the new and improved gorilla room like right near the entrance to where, because we never had that put in the WWE game. The gorilla room right there is where you like where they Triple H normally sits, and they have the table with the computers, and they'll be I guess talking through the headset, letting whoever know what to do. That's as far as the storylines, whatever that may be. That room right there, right near the entrance, I feel like that needs to be finally put in a wrestling game. And as I look at the old wrestling games with THQ and Use, you can see the different locations, and it made you feel like you actually, at the arena in real life, but except for you was like in the video game, but it seemed as if it felt like as if you at like different locations. It felt real. It felt lifelike. I feel like the backstage areas we've been getting for the past couple of years on 2K, it doesn't feel like real life like locations. It just feels like, how can I put it? It don't give you the realism as if it did, like, as you can see right here in these videos from, the subway stations. You got to bring the lifelike, type of, environmental backstage area feel to where it's like, man, I wouldn't mind coming back here and fighting back here all the time, right? And that'll make, also the people, the fans, want to invest in whatever it is as far as my faction. It'll motivate the fans to want to spend money in other areas if you see that they making improvements in certain areas by, making the backstage areas feel more lifelike. If we can just fight up the crowd steps and take us to the backstage areas, and not just the left side of the crowd, but the right side of the crowd and the back side of the crowd. We can be able to free roam throughout the arena and going up each crowd steps and taking us under the tunnel once we get to the top of those steps into the upstairs portion of the backstage areas. I feel like if they could just, put something together real quick with that and give us like a restaurant, like I said, in the WWE Shop Zone store upstairs, go downstairs, they're the concession stand, and the fans and the NPCs, they're right there in front of the concession stand, or just watching y'all fight. That'll be real dope, man. Because once I'm thinking about this right now, because as I look at this video clip with the free roaming in the backstage areas, I was like, man, we don't have backstage areas to where it's fun like this no more. It's like the same ones is there, but the NXT parking lot, I feel like we don't need parking lots, not at least different ones. I feel like if you could just put a parking lot together, put just one big parking lot together, one big area with the parking lot. That could be NXT, conjoined, like, right there, like, put together alongside with the WWE parking lot. Put it all together into one big space. And then out of that big space, we're able to still go into different locations, parts of the arena, not just being in a different space. That also adds something new to the wrestling games and bringing back, what we used to have in the older wrestling games. And that's what being able to, be in the different locations and not just feeling like you in one big open area. So I feel like they need to bring a lot of the old things back as far as with, backstage, and add a little bit of the new, a WWE 2K twist, newness and a new vibrant feel, to, adding a twist to it on top of that as well. We don't have general manager offices we can go into no more. We used to do that on SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, the game right here that you see in the footage of the free roaming abilities. We was able to go in Times Square. We could, like, stuff like that. We should bring that back. So it'll make the fans excited again, and not just us being, happy about little things like, hair physics, something that I feel that should have been taken care of a long time ago. But I get it because the older gen consoles. But I don't want to keep on bringing the old gen console because I feel like they're kind of an excuse. Because when I look at I'm gonna just put it like this, y'all. I bought a horror game, and it was for PS4, Xbox Series X, and One, and PS4, and it's called The Quarry. Y'all can do your research, and it's like a teen horror game, right? And I'm saying, like, if it's for these older consoles, I'm looking at the graphics, and the graphics are superb. It looked just like you looking at watching like real life TV. Like, the graphics were outstanding. And I said, man, this is for PS4 though. But I had it on my Xbox Series X, and I was playing on my Xbox Series X, but it's also for PS4. And I'm like, so why is WWE 2K using that excuse? And I had to think about it. Maybe because it's a different engine, right? But it also made me think, like, man, like, now that we got the PS4 out the way, and other games are still able to do what they do with graphics with the PS4, it's just all about, I guess, different engines. Their engine was way more powerful, I guess, than the engine that the wrestling games use for their games. So now that we got that out the way, there's no more room for excuses. We need more backstage areas, and I feel like the older ones should be, gone, taken away. And I feel like the new backstage areas for 2K27 should be the Gorilla Room, lobby areas, WWE Shop Zone stores in the arena, a restaurant. You could put like a little smaller restaurant / bar area for the fans, for the NPCs, for them to sit and, drink, build, whatever, and give it like a Grand Theft Auto a little bit of a vibe, but not nothing too much, because I don't want it to be like it's taking too much of y'all time focusing on that, but just like have like some NPCs, maybe like 10, 15, sitting at the table or sitting at the bar, and have it to where we can go inside the bar / restaurant in the upstairs portion of those backstage areas being one of them. And then once we go in, we can also go inside of the kitchen. It should be inside the kitchen once we get inside the restaurant. And we can bring that kitchen fighting vibe back. That'll be inside of the restaurant once we get inside the restaurant. slash
feel like
bar.
each game should have.
And if we go outside the
backstage
kitchen
areas, give it
and
that
take us
fresh
back to
feel
the
make it
bar
feel like a new
slash
game.
restaurant,
We feel
go
like we
outside of
playing
those doors and take
2K25
us back
games
to
if we
the
got the
upstairs
same
portion of
backstage
those
areas.
backstage areas where you
And I
got
ain't saying
like
for
a
y'all to
long
change them
hallway.
every year.
You can take
but
the
at least
elevator
give us something
downstairs
where
to the
it's a
lobby
big enough
area,
location. It's different
the
locations.
main
That
floor.
actually feel lifelike.
Or we can like
where we can go out
go
in the streets
if we don't want to do
with
that.
cars going down
We
the
can stay
street.
upstairs and go through each
Times
one of the
Square,
tunnels.
lobby
And each
areas,
one of those tunnels will take
WWE
us back
shop
down
zone
the
stores,
stairs. That's
inside of the
leading us
arena,
back to the
as
arena.
well as
Whether it's
restaurants
on the
slash
left
bars,
side
I was just
or the
stating
right
just a
side of the
minute ago.
arena or the back
Inside
side.
the arena upstairs,
You know, so
locker rooms, bring
if
the
we could
locker
just
rooms
put a little
back
twist of
inside
that
the arena
for the
and it could
current
be
gen
downstairs for
console,
men and women.
you know,
And the
give it that
gorilla room,
new fresh
you know,
feel
bathrooms,
to where we ain't got the
parking
same
lot,
backstage
the
areas.
NXT,
That'll be
like I said,
something
can
that's
join
marked like
with
new.
the WWE parking lot all together, and we can experiment and actually, for the first time, be able to get inside vehicles and run people over, run our opponents over. That's all, and that's it, man. But I want to make this video for the fans, for the gamers that play wrestling games and know what it used to feel like to free roam and going to these different locations that we used to. That should be brought back for 2K27. I will say 26, but they already probably finished making that game all the way. They're just making little tweaks now. But that's it, man. Sensei's Reality.